Cultural Interface with Ivan Moreno, every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Cultural Interface presents discussions about the ways in which culture creates and transforms individual experiences, everyday life, social relations, and power. The topics we'll address: new questions and problems of today's world. Cultural Interface with Ivan Moreno, founder of Zion International University.
Hi everyone, good evening. This is Ivan Moreno, your host of Cultural Interface. And you can listen to this show on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on 1470 a.m. Or you can also listen to WWNN Live on the internet, wwnnradio.com. And you can also call toll-free at 1-888-565-1470. Okay, so last time we had a very interesting topic. I was talking about the Matrix. And I was telling you a little bit about what the Matrix is. And I really want you to call and share your ideas, your opinions. I just want to remind you, maybe in my first show, I introduced myself. I'm a cultural theorist, linguist, cultural designer, and professor. And I just love knowledge. And I have a lot of questions, and sometimes I ask myself about why life is like this or like that, why the universe behaves in such or such way. So I'm a fan of books, I'm a fan of knowledge. So I really want to share the knowledge that I've gotten throughout the years with you. So I really want you to call, and you can also email me at culturalinterface1, the number 1, at gmail.com. And speaking about the Matrix, last time in my last show, I told you a little bit about the Matrix, but this time I'm going to talk a little bit deeper about that topic, and I'm going to tell you the rest of the keys, because last time I told you about some interesting keys, the keys of conscious creation. Actually, these keys were written by a very interesting author. His name is Greg Braden, and he wrote a very interesting book that is called The Divine Matrix. And I found that book very interesting, and I wanted to share the knowledge that he shares in his book, but I'm also going to expand on that knowledge, because I think this really concerns all of us, and I'm going to explain that little by little in this show. First of all, you have to remember that we live in let's put it this way. This is like a net. The internet, right? So, according to quantum mechanics, which is the science that studies the subatomic world, they discovered that actually we live in a field of energy in which everybody is connected, everything is connected to each other. It's you cannot see it. And even though you cannot see it, you can feel it. You can actually measure it, and that's very fascinating. So, what does that have to do with me? Well, our scientists, our quantum physicists, the scientists that have been studying this network, let's say, they found that because everything is connected, our brain is also connected to that energy field. And because we have thoughts, we have emotions, everything is connected, and actually everything is altering that field, and that field is also altering our minds and bodies. That's why if we learn how that works, we can get the most of it, and we can benefit from it. So that's why the keys are very important. And that's why these books, I mean, there are a lot of interesting books about this matrix, but I found this book and I found it very, very interesting that I highly recommend. So I just want to read again the first keys that we talked about, well, that I talked about last time. And the first key was the divine matrix. Is the container that holds the universe, the bridge between all things, and the mirror that shows us what we have created. This reminds me of the fact that we have three brains. We have a very primary brain that is a reptilian brain, actually. It's called reptilian because it's just like a reptilian brain. And that brain, the function of that brain is survival. And what do we mean by survival? For example, that brain works on how to survive, like how to get food, how to get water, liquids, fluids in order to live, how to keep up our species, like that's procreation. So those are things that brain does. And we have a second brain, which is the mammal brain, and that mammal brain is in charge of emotions. And everything that we do, everything that happens to us every day is actually encoded in our brain, but like the glue is an emotional reaction. So everything is being recorded in an emotionally fashion. Everything is recorded in our brain. So in order to go back to our memories, in order to go back to our thoughts, those thoughts were glued with emotions. That's why every time that you remember something, you feel happy, you feel sad, you feel anxious. And even if you want to, if you have a wish or if you want something to happen, you also have an emotion associated to that kind of thought or that kind of wish. So emotions are very important in our lives because the emotions are the glue that keep our thoughts stored in our brains. And we have a third brain, which is the most evolved organ that we have, let's say, which is our frontal lobe, the neocortex. And that's what makes us really human. That's what makes us really different from other species, from monkeys, for example. And why are we talking about brains here? Because scientists have discovered that some people use more of these brains in everyday life. And a lot of people use the reptilian brain more than the neocortex or the frontal lobe brain. And that is a problem because that brain that brain's function is survival, how to survive in society. And because that part of the brain doesn't have any emotions, so that's why you will do anything in order to survive. Anything like killing, like stealing, like doing illegal things. And that's the problem that we have in our society. Like a lot of people have been using the reptilian brain, and we really need to understand that. Because if we really want to live in a very just, in a very peaceful society, we really need to learn how to work our frontal lobe, which is our third brain. And that third brain has the ability of making things happen because of that matrix. In other words, everything that we think with our frontal lobe will happen. And that's the most fascinating thing. For example, let's suppose that you want to travel somewhere. You want to travel, I don't know, maybe to another state, to another city, to another country. Maybe you don't have the money, maybe you don't have the time, whatever. But somehow time goes by and you end up doing that trip. So let's remember everything that what you've done so far, and remember the things that you wanted to do but you were not able to do at that time because of whatever reason. And by the time time went by and you did it finally. So say, well, how did I do it? Maybe you say, well, I did it because of this, because of that, because of destiny, because of whatever reason. And actually, scientists discover that when you focus your thoughts in one specific desire, one specific wish, one specific goal in your life, the probability for that things to materialize is very, very, very high because of the matrix, because of that field of energy that connects us, all of us. And the frontal lobe is the one that is actually making it happen. It's making the connection between our minds, our bodies, and that net. That's why it says here in this book, the divine matrix is the container that holds the universe, the bridge between all things, and the mirror that shows us what we have created. So actually, we create with our frontal lobe. And reality is just the production of what we have created. So it's like, let's suppose that you're watching a movie and everything you see, of course, is a production, it's made up. But actually, your life is your own production. You are the director of your own life. Last time we said that you were the artist, and you are just watching your painting, your creation. You are the artist, and your reality is the art. And how do you do that? How have you been doing that? With the conscious, let's put it this in these words, with the power of your frontal lobe. Because in your frontal lobe, you have a lot of things that, I don't know if you have heard, that our brain is so powerful that it has a lot of potential, but we only use, let's say, 5% of that potential. If we were able to use 100% of all the potential of the brain, we would be like superhumans. But maybe we're not ready to be superhumans. Maybe we really need to control our emotions. Otherwise, we could destroy ourselves with so much knowledge. I don't know. Anyways, I'm just, what I'm trying to say is that we are all connected to this invincible matrix, and this matrix that surrounds us, and this matrix that is also within us. And the key number 2 says everything in our world is connected to everything else, and that's true, and that's been also like tried in laboratories, and they have found that that's true. Key number 3, to tap the force of the universe itself, we must see ourselves as part of the world rather than separate from it. And that's very important. And I already talked about this last time. that we are all in this matrix, we're all connected. Even if you want to isolate yourself from the world, from the reality, you can't, because you're part of it. And somehow you're gonna be called back, and you have to face all your troubles, all your fears. And that's one of the reasons that you have to understand this matrix you and we are all in. Key number 4, once something is joined, it is always connected, whether it remains physically linked or not. Even if we're dead, will be connected forever. Key number 5, the act of focusing our consciousness is an act of creation. Consciousness creates. As I told you, our frontal lobe has the capacity and the ability to create from thought. And the probability that our thoughts materialize is very high, and that depends on different factors. One of the factors is that when we focus and when we put out intention or one specific thought, the probability of that thought to materialize is very, very high. For instance, if you think, let's suppose you think you're gonna get caught by a cop, and they say, oh my God, I'm gonna get a ticket, I don't know what you're thinking about, you're gonna get a ticket, and suddenly you get a ticket. And you might think that's a very silly example and that doesn't prove anything. Actually, that doesn't prove anything. But what I'm trying to say is that the probability that something happens in your mind, in your thoughts, if you were thinking that you were going to get a ticket, the probability of that happening is very high. So you have to be careful with your thoughts, because the probabilities are very high that that happens, that the thought materializes. And that's called consciousness. Key number 6. We have all the power we need to create all the changes we choose. And that's the same thing. Since our brain, specifically our frontal lobe, has all the power to materialize thoughts, you have the power in your hands. But because people are so, let's say, they are so concentrated on negative emotions like pessimism, like, I don't know, yes, like pessimism, that they think that everything is gonna get worse, that there's no hope for them. So if that's their way of thinking, so let's imagine the probabilities of things happening that are related to those thoughts. So people may, for instance, get sick, people may lose their jobs, people may break up with their partners, different kinds of things because of their thinking. You really have to control your thinking. You really have to analyze what you're thinking. It is kind of, let's say, normal that you may have some pessimistic thoughts and ideas. But the problem is what 100% of the time, those are the thoughts that you have the most in your brain all the time. That's the problem. So you really have to watch your thoughts. Key number 7, the focus of our awareness becomes the reality of our world. As I told you, your reality is what you have created so far. It's not, I mean, some people may believe this is not true, but according to scientists, it is true, because it has been proven in laboratories that everything that you think is going to be mirrored somehow and the reality is your mirror. So if you don't like what you see, you can change it by changing your thoughts. By changing your thoughts, the possibilities of those thoughts materialize are very, very high. So if you want a happy life or a happier life, if you want to get out of debt, if you want to get a better job, if you want better opportunities, everything can happen, but you have to start changing your thoughts. If your thoughts are not as your wishes, there's a problem. So if you wish to have a better job, to earn more money, but you fear you're gonna get poorer and poorer, or you're gonna lose your job, or I don't know what, that's not going to make this quantum field collapse in a way that your wish is gonna come true. Key number 9. No, key number 8. To simply say that we choose a new reality is not enough. As I told you, your wishes, your desires have to match with your emotions. I've heard a lot of people saying, you know what, I want to win the lottery. Okay, that's good. You have to start buying the lottery, and you have to start feeling that you're going to win it sooner or later. But if you buy the lottery and you're thinking and feeling that you're not gonna win this time, you're not gonna win, because the probabilities the probabilities of winning are gonna be so low that you're not gonna win. But if you keep buying the lotto, but you have the feeling, you have the thought that you may win it, that's different. At least the possibilities are higher. Key number 9. Feeling is the language that speaks to the divine matrix. Feel as though your goal is accomplished and your prayer is already answered. That's what I just told you about the lotto ticket. It is very difficult to break the habit of not thinking in a different way, because you have the ego, and the ego is that thing that tells you, you know what you're thinking right now is not gonna happen. So you really have to battle with your ego that is telling you won't, or you will not be able to get that, or many other things that may cross your mind. Key number 10. Not just any feeling will do. The ones that create must be without ego and judgment. That's what I already said. So try to overcome your ego, and your ego are those pessimistic thoughts, or any idea, or anybody telling you opposite of what you were thinking. You always have to, if you have a goal, just try to follow that goal, and just try to, if there's an obstacle, don't worry about that. If there's a mistake and error, don't worry about that. Just keep on track. And the possibility of that goal to be achieved is very, very high. Key number 10. No, key number 11. We must become in our lives the things that we choose to experience as our world. Yes, we have to become. So if you wish something, if you're feeling something, but you're thinking in an opposite direction, you are not the same. You are like a split person. So you have to become one person. That means your feelings and your thoughts have to become one. And that's difficult because of the ego. So you really have to work on that. Like every day, you have to fight your thoughts, your negative thoughts, and to become one. Key number 12. We are not bound by the laws of physics as we know them today. And that's true. So before quantum physics appeared let's say. We have the physics of Newton, and with quantum physics, we realize that there's a part of, let's say, of the world of our realities that don't follow the laws of traditional physics. That's why we're talking about everything can happen because of that kind of law, the law of quantum physics. Key number 13. Oh my God, we're running out of time. And we have a lot of keys left. Key number 13. In a holographic something, every piece of the something mirrors the whole something. What does that mean? A hologram is like, let's say, a photograph or something else. I don't know if you have watched the movie Star Wars, the old Star Wars. Do you remember that the princess, she used to send holograms to deliver a message, but actually it wasn't her, it was just an image, it was a light. So that's a hologram. So actually what the matrix is a hologram. Everything that we see, everything that we experience, our world is a hologram of something else. We're not going to talk about what that something else is because that's another topic. But the hologram, we are in a hologram. And that's why this is like a movie. We're actually in a movie. We're actually in a painting. We are the artists, we are the painters, and we are in our painting. But the painting is not the reality. That's why you have to really make a difference between those two concepts. Key number 14. The universally connected hologram of consciousness promises that the instant we create our good wishes and prayers, they are already received at their destination. Yes, that's true. But we're running out of time. I really like this subject. I know this is gonna be a pretty new subject for a lot of you. But I'm gonna tell you more about this if you like. You can also contact me at culturalinterface1 if you wanna know more about these topics. I'm gonna try to talk about these topics in my shows. There are a lot of things that I want to talk about in my shows, but this topic is very interesting because some people think that there's a destiny, that we can't do anything about our lives, that we are defined by our everyday life. So that's not the way it is. Okay, so thank you very much for being in my show today again. So see you next time. Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Cultural Interface with Ivan Moreno every Thursday at 7 p.m. Miami hour. Cultural Interface. Present discussions about the ways in which culture creates and transforms individual experiences, everyday life, social relations, and power. The topics will address new questions and problems of today's world. Cultural Interface with Ivan Moreno, founder of Zion International University.
Talk 1470 WW.